Are you a person who is autistic or maybe have ADHD? And if you are someone who is prone to burnouts or maybe is currently in burnout or wants to prevent burnout, then this video is for you. In this video, I will tell you my journey through 10 years of recurring autistic burnouts to now being a fully recovered and thriving person. I will focus on the main pivotal points in the journey that really made a difference and brought me to recovery. I see a lot of people who are going through burnout and recovery. A lot of my clients who I help with burnout, they actually go through very similar lessons. Can be very helpful for you if you are someone in a similar situation. And make sure you stay till the end because it is the last point that really sealed the deal for me. I was in burnout probably 10 years, maybe even more. And not only I didn't know it was burnout, I actually did not know it was wrong or there's anything that's not right or it could be better, because all I heard around me is people saying, oh yeah, we all get tired. Yeah, life can be tough. You know, you just rest a bit and you move on. And I really believed that. I thought that this is how life is. I was feeling a lot of overwhelm, exhaustion. I was feeling loss of motivation. I was feeling no desire to do anything. I was often feeling no desire to socialize or socialize very little. I felt like nothing brings me joy, or, you know, I would try to squeeze joy out of some things, but didn't really work that well. And yeah, I was going through periods of kind of functioning, being quite content with life, but still feeling tired a lot. And through other periods where I was barely functioning, I was really just going through motions as a zombie in a way, not really enjoying life to the full. So I have to mention the self-care that I already had as a baseline through the whole of that time. I was having quite a good sleep routine, actually better than I have now. I had quite a healthy diet, relatively speaking. Now, I was doing meditation every day, and I know it doesn't really work for a lot of neurodivergent people, and that's okay. There are other ways to take care of yourself. My job was with children at that time, so I was quite active physically. So this was the basic self-care that I was already doing, and of course, it definitely does not help to completely prevent or overcome burnout, but it helped me to keep healthy through what I was going through. I did not know that I was burning out. And even when I started to realize that something is not right and that's not the way I want to live, I still did not know that this was burnout. If you're in a similar situation where you don't know if you're in burnout or not, or what is it that you're experiencing, there is a very short science-backed survey where you answer a few questions and you know exactly where you are and what you need to do next. I will make sure to link it below. Okay, so we are getting to the first stage of working towards the recovery. And this was realization. This was when I went on a holiday for the first time in, I think, 5 or 7 years. I actually went on a holiday or vacation for Americans where I was away for 2 or 3 weeks. I was in a nice tropical destination and I really was able to rest and relax. And then I realized that I can have more energy, that what I have been living on was like 5 to 10% of my battery, and there is so much more available to me. And at the same time, I had an opportunity to reduce my working hours. It was only temporary and it's not something I could sustain, but it brought me some relief, some recovery. It gave me space to create better habits, better self-care. And it was a few months when I could really just catch my breath, get back into my real self, what I was meant to be. And here's two things. Firstly, it was only a temporary thing. I was not able to carry on with part-time hours. I had to go back to full-time hours. I was only able to do that because I had a bit of savings and it was only a few months. But I know this is not possible for everyone. A lot of people are not able to take a break or to reduce working hours. Maybe you have bills to pay, mortgage, children, etc. You have to carry on. And this is something I help a lot of my clients with who are in burnout and they can't always quit their jobs or reduce working hours. So there are many other ways we can get some rest and relief, and I'll be happy to share some more around that. So comment if you'd like me to create that, and of course subscribe if you'd like to see when I create it. Okay, now moving on to second stage is what I call first changes. So the first stage was realization that it can be better, that I can have more energy. And the second stage is the first changes I made once I had that realization. So that was when I had to go back to work full time. And I already had good habits. And the most important thing here, I think, is because also I had a lot of anger. I was like, oh my God, everyone was lying to me. This is not normal. I can have more energy. This is not how life is for everyone. I know people can have more energy because I can as well. I know a lot of people, especially women, have been raised in a way to believe that anger is bad. If you're angry, you're a bad person. That's unpleasant. And a lot of us have learned to suppress the anger, but actually anger is a very healthy human emotion. And if you are in burnout or prone to burnout and you feel there is some anger or resentment or something bubbling up about your situation, don't push it away. Use that anger, feel that anger, because that anger is telling you where your boundaries are, and it tells you where you're not comfortable or not happy with the situation. So don't be afraid of anger. Absolutely, harness that anger and use it to change your situation, because this is what really fueled me at that point, where I realized actually I don't have to live that way. I can live better. And only feeling that anger, I was able to start making changes. So the first changes I made were really simple. I was going back to full-time work and I was wanting to maintain the self-care and the energy and the well-being that I had in part-time hours. So I have to do that amount of hours of work. Everything else I do not have to do. So at first I removed all the extra stuff, all the hobbies I'd like to do, all the nice people I might want to stay in touch with. I really just, for the first few weeks, I really focused just going to work, getting home, getting enough food, getting enough rest. And then little by little, I started to introduce things that I actually can without compromising my well-being. So I started seeing some friends or doing some hobbies, but only those that actually I really loved and I really felt that fills me up and inspires me. Another thing I did, I introduced a no demands day. So usually it was Sunday, where once a week I would have one day where I had no demands at all. I would have no errands to run, no laundry to do, no emails to reply, no grocery shopping, no cooking. I would just say to myself, okay, this is one day where there's no demands whatsoever, no friends to meet, no phone calls to make, nothing, where it's just I am here for me, for myself, and I will do whatever it is I feel like. I might have a bath, I might have a walk, I might read a book, or if I feel like, I might actually feel inspired to do some cooking, so I have some food for the week, or I might actually inspired to meet a friend or whatever. And if I do feel inspired to do something, I would do it. But actually, I noticed that I was more likely to get some things done when I have no demands. And I know it's not possible for everyone to have a day of no demands, but I would advise maybe to have a half day or an afternoon or an evening of no demands, with some sort of regularity. It really helped me. It was like an anchor for me that helped me to stay focused, to stay energized through the week, because that's when I would recharge. The hardest thing at that point was to remove volunteering from my schedule. And that's because I think two things. One is there was a lot of people pleasing still in me, where I felt like I would be letting people down if I stop volunteering. And the second thing is that I identified very heavily with that role, with that impact I was having, with that role I had, that responsibility I had. It was something that brought a lot of meaning to my life, and I expected people to try to convince me to stay, to shame me, to reject me, to remove me from their group, to not welcome me to their events, etc. And people were actually really friendly and understanding. And now looking back, I see that this is really just in my head. I was just creating this story of rejection, fear of abandonment, people pleasing. I even think actually, even if they did all those things, even if they tried to convince me or shame me or reject me, actually, that would have meant that this was not the right thing for me, and I would not have wanted to hang out around that type of people. So if you are someone in this situation, maybe, there is a learning for you as well, that you can, step down from things, and it doesn't necessarily have to end that badly. The second stage, the first changes I did is really basic stuff that a lot of you already know, that build a foundation for me. There is so much more to come, so keep watching. We're just starting to scratch the surface. The third stage is what I call wider awareness. So I went back to my full-time hours. I was getting close to more burnouts, and that's when I decided to change career. Actually, changing career almost caused me a burnout because it costed me a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of effort. And the first few months felt really good in the new career because it was relief from what I was in before. But actually soon after came another burnout. The change is very taxing. It costs a lot of resources, and you already start a new job with your resources depleted. And if you do not have a good, complete knowledge of your wellness, you will burn out again. And this is exactly what happened to me. And this is what happens to a lot of my clients. They come to me and they say, okay, I need help because what I thought would work does not work. And that's because you are just changing the circumstances and repeating the same scenarios, like some sort of traveling theater. You go to a different location, go to a different surroundings, but you repeat the same scenario. So, and I'm not saying like that career change is bad. It can help. It can bring some relief. Sometimes it does help with some aspects, but I see so often that it does not help. So you need to have a very, very clear awareness of what actually is causing you burnout, because environment can contribute, but if you're autistic, if you're ADHD, if you're neurodivergent, highly sensitive, there's a lot of things that contribute to your burnout that are related to your wellness, to your neurotype, and not knowing how to manage that. Okay, so this is when I already had very big commitment to my wellness, and that's when I started to really look much deeper and much wider and try to understand what is actually happening and why I am repeating this. I was starting to notice that I am still doing some people pleasing. I do not have that clear boundaries. I started to notice energy cycles, sensitivities. And at this stage, I actually was discovering a lot of different aspects of burnout, of wellness, a lot of different layers. And I will definitely do more videos about that because this is what is needed by so many people who are wanting to prevent or overcome burnout, but there's just not enough time in this video. So stay tuned. Okay, fourth stage, and this was actually the hardest time for me. This was when I had the worst burnout, and this is what they call it's the darkest before the dawn, and it needs to get worse before it gets better. I hope maybe it's not the case for everyone, but this was definitely the case for me. There was lockdown. I lost a few family members, so I was dealing with grief. I was dealing with not being able to see any of my family. I was dealing with increased working hours because of lockdown. I was working remotely, so it was really hard to maintain the same routine, and it took time for me to adjust. I also was not able to exercise because my main form of exercise was swimming, and in lockdown, swimming pools were closed, of course. Then I had some health issues. I basically was not able to do any form of exercise, which was really hard on my mood. And I had also issues with my jaw, and for a few months I was only able to consume liquid foods. So I was very, very limited in that time, because in lockdown, a lot of people sought out entertainment by cooking and eating and exercising, and this was just not the option for me. I was very, very limited. It just seems like everything came my way, and it was really, really hard time. I was really burnt out, and I was noticing that I am getting close to depression. I have a background in psychology, so I could really see it happening. I could really see it coming. And at that point as well, I realized I could be neurodivergent. I realized I could be autistic. So I started reading a lot about that. I just wanted to know, like, am I going crazy? There's so much going on. I don't know where I am. I need an answer. So if you are there, I get you. But at the same time, I wanted to say that don't hinge validation of your feeling on diagnosis. If you feel tired, you feel tired. Okay? If something is too loud for you, it's too loud for you. If you feel overwhelmed, you feel overwhelmed. You do not need a doctor or a paper or someone to come and tell you you are allowed to feel this way because this is, you match some requirements or whatever. Like, you are allowed to feel what you feel. Your experience, your feelings are real, okay? If you want to go for a diagnosis, if you need to, absolutely go for it. But just know that you do not have to. So you do not have to do that to validate what you're feeling. I was putting all the validation on getting that diagnosis, and that's when I allowed myself to feel what I feel, but you do not have to make the same mistake. What I also did at that point, knowing that I was probably heading towards depression, I went for therapy, and I found a really good autistic specialized therapist, and that therapy made my burnout worse. And I am not against therapy. Therapy can be a helpful tool. It can help in a lot of different circumstances. But for me, it made it worse. And a lot of my clients who are in burnout actually report very similar experiences. For some say it made it worse for them. Some say it was useless. It did not help. Some say it did help a little bit. But I just want to validate, again, those people who feel like they're trying everything they can, they're going to therapy like everyone says, and they're still not getting better. So if you're one of those people, there's nothing wrong with you, okay? Therapy can be helpful, but it does not cover all the aspects of burnout. It can only help with some aspects of burnout, and if your burnout has other aspects, it might not offer you a complete solution, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with you. Okay, and in this stage, while it was the worst and the hardest time for me, it actually started lifting and getting better as I got my diagnosis, the summer came, the lockdown eased, my health issues eased, and it kind of just eased. Everything just eased. But it was also because I have done a lot of work previously. I had a very good foundation of health. I had really good self-care. I was really having, at that time, I was still having quite a wide and deep lookout into my wellness. So all of that helped while the circumstances were lifting. Okay, so now we are getting into the fifth stage, the final stage, the one that sealed all the improvement and all the progress that I made and made sure I really stayed well. So what happened soon after that recovery, that getting out of lockdown, is that I actually invested in a self-development course. It was nothing related to burnout or neurodivergence. Actually, I wouldn't even recommend that course to people. It's not very well made. I didn't learn much in that course, but what made the difference is a few things. One is having the support of other people in the group, having the accountability around other people in the group is what made sure I really did the things, even though I knew already what I need to do, but some of the things I wasn't really doing consistently. But that really helped me to continue doing the things and to create more of a habit around that. It helped me to stay motivated, to move towards my goals. And the most important thing is investing in that course. I showed kindness and care to myself, because up until then, I was always thinking that buying a course, a program, or getting a coach or anything like that is like a necessary luxury. But actually, I switched my mindset to thinking, actually, I deserve this. This is not a luxury. This is a basic self-care to show kindness and care to myself. And up until today, I actually put aside part of my budget to my self-care, to self-improvement, because that really helps me to continue to stay well. But actually, the most important thing here, I think, is just having a better relationship with myself, showing myself that I care about you, I love you, you are a nice person, I want you to be well. And that really was one of the most important things that I did in all of my journey to recovery. And it doesn't have to take form of, taking a course. It can be anything. It can be any form of investing in yourself, showing yourself care, giving yourself the best treatment that you can. Because that kind of attitude, that kind of mindset is what really helped me to keep all the learnings I had and to keep applying them. to not lose the focus or the motivation, or to continue being nice to myself, basically. Okay, so that is the whole of my story. I am now 3 years burnout free, and I have to say, like, life is not perfect. Of course, I'm still neurodivergent, I'm still sensitive, I still get overwhelmed sometimes, I still have harder days sometimes. But now that I have this complete wellness system, I can really look after myself in a way that works for me. And anytime that those harder time comes, they don't really affect my health, my relationship, my career as much as they would have before. If you like this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It will really help me to create more videos like this. And if you are autistic ADHD person who is prone to burnout, make sure to check out those videos. They will definitely be helpful for you as well. And I will see you there.